I wish someone told me this when I was applying for marketing jobs. Your CV isn't failing because you don't know enough tools. It's failing because you're not showing what you actually built. And if that's you right now, sending applications and hearing nothing back, this episode explains exactly why. I'm Roma, and this is Marketing Career Ladder, the show for students and graduates who want real answers about getting into marketing. But here is what makes this conversation different from any other CV advice. And today's guest is Eric Doyle, the founder at Consult Cracks. He has hired marketers himself and helped companies build commercial teams across sales and marketing. So when he tells you what hiring managers actually notice, it's not theory. In this conversation, he breaks down what gets candidates screened out in seconds, why the CVs that look busy actually are the ones that gets ignored, and the specific structure that makes your CV actually convincing. Honestly guys, you better stay to the end because I'll pull out the 3 things Eric said that actually matter and 1 proof step you can use to complete this week. By the way guys, this is only part 1, and if you want part 2, where we get into the proof that gives you a much better chance at getting hired, follow and hit that bell button so you don't miss it.
"75% didn't answer the brief, didn't answer the spec."
Wow.
Did not answer the spec. People are great at marketing other things. When it comes to marketing themselves, they're usually really poor. That if you're leading with "I'm great at using the tools," then you put yourself in a pool with a million other people who are saying "I'm great at using the tools," and you get lost. One person phoned and said, "I need more information." That was the cut-through fact. The first job is marketing, right in the company. I'm going to ask you to do no marketing. But he always said, always be looking for work. What does our marketing effort, what is the effect of that on attribution of revenue? If the answer's no, it's meaningless. If the answer's yes, there might be something interesting there.
Could you walk us through the hiring process? Because as a person who's never been at the backstage behind all those hiring processes that hiring manager does, what was the last time you hired a marketer? Could you walk us step by step, from the moment when his CV landed in your inbox to the moment when he got actually offered the job?
Yeah, sure. So back in the day when I used to hire people directly, that was going through recruitment companies and all of that, and we would create a spec. And we would send it out, and they would send us a long list, and we would go no, yes, no, yeah, and we'd create a short list, and we'd do interviews, and we'd set little challenges, create a little micro campaign, whatever it might be. The last person that I hired directly, we did it through just using LinkedIn, LinkedIn Recruiter.
Yeah.
And we actually did that for a couple of organizations that I worked for. We just used LinkedIn Recruiter to create a little template, create a spec, and we put it out there, and we got a lot of applications through.
How many applications roughly?
55.
55?
55 applications.
Not hundreds, not thousands?
Not hundreds.
Alright, just 55.
55 applications for this one specific job. It was quite a small window of applications.
Yeah, this is very nice actually, because sometimes I see job ads with so broad, it says social media marketing, but then there's a lot of email marketing as well, and on top of that.
This was very, very laser focused. So you've asked about the process. So the process was quite interesting because of the 50 odd entrants that we got, we went through every single one and we looked at it. Very, very few, I would say 75% didn't answer the brief, didn't answer the spec.
Wow.
Did not answer the spec. What they did was tell us how good they were at Canva.
And what was the job position though?
The job position was for a junior marketing,
Sort
of coordinator to then move into be a junior marketing executive and then move up the chain. But very few. I found that everybody was really excited to tell us about the tools they could use, and that for us was not what we wanted. We wanted someone who would show us just a little bit. We don't expect them to be an expert, but show us a little bit that you understand in this B2B world, which is sometimes quite conservative, the B2B world, that you understand what marketing's for, and you kind of understand how it works loosely. You don't have to be a specialist. But 9 times out of 10, obviously not as much as 9 times out of 10, we were getting, I do this, here's my portfolio, here's my stuff, this is it, but there was no link to what we were looking for, which was show us that you understand a little bit about this industry and this sector. You're going to make mistakes, we don't care. We don't care. Show us that you understand that marketing is here to get people interested so that we can create marketing qualified leads that we give to sales, for sales qualified leads, that they can convert into conversations and potentially some commercial interaction. And we found very few people who actually, when they marketed themselves to us, which is something else which I have a huge issue in my head with, that marketing people are great at marketing other things. When it comes to marketing themselves, they're usually really poor. Finding those people who just showed that little glimpse of sector awareness, industry awareness, that little bit that they understood how marketing flowed through into leads, into sales, into commercial interaction, that's what we were looking for, and we didn't get many. So the person and people that ended up getting the jobs were the people who came forward and were in that pool of people who showed that little bit of point of difference.
That's exciting. That's really wonderful. After the CV screening, how many interviews have you done with those people? Were they like just 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds?
It was 2 rounds, and then a decision point, and then a third meeting with the person that was coming forward.
Was it more casual though, the last one?
Yes, of course, because pretty much it was to offer them a job.
okay. Maybe get to know him a little bit. Okay.
So we set a challenge. I wanted to go deeper into this. I guess the last thing that we wanted was someone. See, I have the belief that if you're leading with "I'm great at using the tools," then you put yourself in a pool with 1 million other people who are saying "I'm great at using the tools," and you get lost. You get lost. So if your only lead is I can use this, I can use that, I'm great at this, I'm great at Google Ads, I'm great at this, I'm great at this, I'm great at this. To be honest, I kind of assume that you are already, because you're in your 4th year and you're about to finish university, and you're in 2025, 26, whatever it might be, you're probably very good at all this stuff. And you've probably proved it year after year at university. So I'm almost taking it as a given that you can use the tools. And you know what? If we have a tool that you haven't used, we're going to train you up in that anyway. So what we're looking for is someone who's showing that point of difference. Someone who has taken the time. So we created a little mini campaign. A little mini campaign. Okay. So the idea was that we work in this sector. We're in this type of industry. It's not particularly glamorous. It's quite agricultural, but it makes a lot of money, and it's a highly profitable business. We are creating a new product to use in this area here. We don't know how to market it. We know there's a need. We know there's a need, and what we'd like is a mini campaign, a little mini campaign to try and get us into this international region. Okay. So there's the brief, and we're on call if you need us for any more advice. So we got it down to, I think, the final 3. Only 1 came back, and so we made a deal. Yeah. We're here if you need any more information. So 2 of the candidates went away, and I'm going to use this to do this, I'm going to use this to do this. 1 person phoned and said, I need more information.
And that was the cut-through factor?
That was the cut-through factor. I need more information. So I'm going, okay, why? I need to know more about the sector. I need to know more about the industry, because if I'm going to try and get people, buyers for this, in a very technical space, interested, I need to know more about them.
Exactly.
And suddenly I'm getting a little goosebumps, goosebumps, because it's not just, I'm going to do Canva, I'm going to do Google, I'm going to do Quark, I'm going to do Flap, I'm going to do all these tools, whatever it might be, because that's the output. That's the output of understanding why we are in employment, is to create so much interest, demand, and the need for conversation in the B2B space. That's what marketing's for.
I love the point that you made about it's actually can be converted into sales as well. The person who asks more questions controls the environment, controls the situation, understands the customer back. Like prospecting is quite hard as well, but as long as you ask questions to qualify the prospect, you can assume that, well, after all these questions, he is qualified enough to buy a product from you. I also was wondering, once you mentioned those sort of 5 stages, I think, so there was a CV screening stage, then the first round, second round, then there was a consideration stage, and the third round, when you just basically offer a job.
Yeah.
In each of those stages, what would you say the most important part of being able to be perceived as a hireable person, like how somebody could, approach those stages if they're going to be like applying for similar positions?
So sometimes it's under-recognized, but it is your personality comes into it a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Your personality. Do you seem like a best fit for this organization? Are you going to be able to slot into that team? Now, you're not going to know what that's like, but being a nice, friendly person with good body language that seems to be, able to, focused on helping and giving and sharing and working hard is a great thing. Don't write it off. Don't write it off. Being a nice person who comes across well, articulates well, and seems as if they're going to be a good addition to the team is a good thing without overdoing it or underdoing it. Secondly, the little markers are just showing a genuine interest in the sector. Genuine interest in the sector. You couldn't, for a second, go and work with Nike without going and understanding the sneaker world.
Oh yeah.
Right? So why do you think you could walk into, I'm just picking something in this city here, why do you think you could walk into a subsea company and just say, I do Canva, and I do this, and I do that? Why is it acceptable? I don't think it is. So the people the little flags that stand up are just even trying to understand the industry is a good thing. So taking that additional element of adding to your personality, you've tried to understand the industry, you've done a bit of research, and you are putting yourself forward as the kind of people that might be able to help us.
Wonderful, thank you very much for your answer. Moving to the next section of today's interview, I just wanted to understand as well, perhaps people who are watching this as well want to understand what does good CV looks like, what bad CV looks like, and I believe you will be able to break it down for us here as well. The question that I wanted to ask you is, when you look at someone's CV for the first time, what immediately grabs your attention? Like one thing if you can point.
Is this from someone who's applying for work for the first time, might be even their first ever job?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay, but you, in your video, call it proof assets. You call it proof assets.
I do.
I love the way you put it in your video. You say, you might think, well, I've never done anything. But you probably have. You probably have done something that you could show that was, I think there's three things. What was the problem? What did you actually do about it? And what were the results? Now, if we're a multi-million-dollar engineering company, but you're like, oh, I've never done anything like that. I did it for a cake shop, or I did it for a charity, or whatever. You had a problem that needed what you were actually supposed to be doing. You're explaining how you did it, and you're explaining how you measure results, and those results are probably, the interesting element to me is if you link those results to the commercial impact. Mm-hmm. Because that has to be in a marketeer's head, the commercial impact of what I do. It has to link to, that commercial impact might be, we need investors, we need new hires, we need new partners, we need new market share, ultimately we need new customers. Yeah. Right, so there was a thing, there was a problem, you developed something that addressed that problem, and the numbers went up. That's great, that's terrific. So show us that, show us the proof assets. If it's just, I can operate tools, and you're just the same as everyone else. Mm-hmm. Just the same as everyone else. So from a CV perspective, we're looking for some real life proof. It doesn't have to match the industry. It's highly unlikely that it will.
Yeah, because there are so many industries out there.
Correct. But show us, and clever readers and receivers of that CV or resume will be able to see through that. Oh, that's quite clever. That's quite clever what they've done there. They're showing, it's not just, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. They're actually saying, here's the flow that I use. Here's how I understand marketing. Here's how I show its direct link to a commercial output. And I love that. I think that's brilliant. That's what differentiates people.
I love that point that you made, because I remember when I was struggling and applying for jobs as well, I had a mentor who helped me with my CV, and he actually explained that, well, yeah, you've got all these nice marketing results, but why don't you just include a little link to the business outcomes, like what the business get out of it, And once I've incorporated that, pretty much after like a month of constantly applying, I've got an offer. We just talk about the good stuff. What about something on the CV that perhaps you tend to ignore? Or maybe you just don't believe whenever you see that probably this guy's lying or this girl is lying, it's not true.
If the numbers seem a bit too exaggerated, that's a big red flag. You know, I took a small local bakery in Inverurie from £20,000 turnover to 2.5 million. It's probably a little bit high. That's a ridiculous example. If the numbers don't seem to match, if the sort of red, I don't believe it or just ignore it, is the massive focus on the output, the massive focus on the output, because actually, again, this is probably a horrible thing to say, but I'm assuming that you understand the output of marketing and campaigns and what they look like. I'm assuming you understand that because you've done a degree or you've done an HND or an HNC or whatever at college or university. I'm assuming that those work. So that massive focus on there, I'm probably just going to glaze over. I don't want you to give me a massive breakdown of your understanding of Adobe. It's not something that I'm really interested in. I'm interested in what you've done and what you think you can do and how you are pretty much showing that you understand a little bit of our industry.
Definitely. And also, I wanted to ask you about continue to talk about the CV. What are like the 3 things that you check first when you just look at the CV? What are the 3 most important ones to you?
I'm looking for a little bit of social proof, a little bit of proof that something was actually done. I'm looking for a point of difference. So in the summer holidays, did this person go away and work somewhere quite challenging? That catches my eye. Did they take their holidays and have a great time, or did they, in between second year and third year, or third year and fourth year, I went away and for 2 months I worked as an unpaid intern in a high pressure marketing environment. It was hell on earth. I didn't really understand it. It was really challenging, but I learned lots of lessons, and here's the lessons I learned. Oh wow, that's incredible. Already a point of difference.
Exactly.
This person is trying to do things. This person is putting themselves out there in a way that's different to everyone else. So there's the social proof, there's the point of difference, and I think an understanding that we don't need the next wave of people coming out of colleges and universities just armed with I can operate the tool, because you just become a tool operator. And unfortunately companies will just see you as a tool operator. So you'll end up, all that stuff you learnt at college and university, forget about it. Can you make us a pop-up stand, please? Because you're in marketing. And it's like, oh right, I thought I was going to be doing really cool campaigns. So if you just lead with the tools, and the tools are your lead, it's the only thing, that's all you can expect to be doing for the rest of your career. And marketing should be exciting.
It is, and this should be exciting, definitely. I mean, I'm having fun with marketing all the time. The way I market my project as well, the way I help market others' project, it's always I've never treated it as a job. Whenever I've been spending sometimes more hours that my contract tells me to spend on, but I've been enjoying it so much. I actually prepared a little game for you.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna hand you over a CV of a guy who's been applying for social media marketing assistant position job. I'll give you roughly 20 seconds to screen his CV and tell me just one good thing and one thing that he could improve.
Very good. Is this a real person?
Yes, it is a real person.
Oh no!
And he's probably gonna watch this as well. Thank you very much. Here you go.
Right, thank you very much. Have you done this to all of your guests?
No, this is the first time I tried it. This is something new I've tried.
Brian, I'm truly sorry.
Alright, let's go. 20 seconds starting now. Five, 4, 3, 2, you're out.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So what do you want to know? And you give me 20 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just tell me, what do you think about it in terms of, is it good CV? And if it's good, then one thing that actually stood out the most for you?
I think it's well written. I think it comes across with nice clarity and it's well laid out. I think Again, for me, it's a little bit heavy on tools. It's a little bit heavy on tools. They have tried to give us some follow through into proof assets a little bit. So I do like the fact that they're getting into a certain percentage of growing net follows through consistent scheduling, publishing, and basic content testing, contributed to a certain percentage of reach growth and follower growth. So that's good. I can sink my teeth into that. The one bit that's missing for me is the so what. So what? So we helped grow net follows by 2,900%, right?
What was the outcome for the business?
So what? So you could have a 2,900% increase in net followers and have absolutely no revenue. So what did it do? What did it do for us commercially? Because I'm guessing that this particular role in the professional experience was to generate something. But it's just focused on that amount of followers, that amount of reach, that amount of growth, and performance reports.
So would you say it's better to include the business outcomes, like the revenue outcomes, like talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what this particular company were looking for from their marketing. They might have been looking for to get investors or get hires. Did it do anything? Did it actually do anything? So I don't personally see. I know they're big impressive numbers, but they don't really impress me unless they're linked to, we did that, something went up by 2,900% and our revenue shifted by 5%.
Okay.
We contributed to 298% reach growth and 800% follower growth in 1 month, and we got 3 investors lined up at the door that we didn't have before.
Oh, these are the gems. These are the gems.
So that's it's almost like you're taking me to the edge, and then we don't go all the way in the door.
You gave me hope, and then you just like.
So right now there's lots of people, I'm sure, that would, and the remainder of it is still very much. Well, there's one here. I know it's a 45% increase in sign-ups, but maybe that was the result. Maybe that's a good thing. So for me, just in a quick 20-minute scan, is the so what? What did it lead to? What did it lead to? And that would make this a decent CV.
All right, Ryan, you heard this first.
I'm so sorry, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Almost. I almost get it there. Let's dive into the next section of today's interview. We're gonna talk about experience.
Yeah.
We talked about it a bit earlier as well. Most of the people, students, and myself as well, when I was just starting out, I didn't actually know what counts as experience. And thus, projects that I've done in the school or in uni count as experience. Maybe some volunteering stuff that I've done counts as experience. What would you say for you, most important part when you look at the experience of a person who've never been in the marketing?
So if you've come out of school and gone into college, or come out of school and gone into university, you're not going to have a huge amount of experience, right? In the role, you're in learning mode.
Yeah.
There are things that you can do in your off time. It's very much what you talk about in your proof assets. You've probably done something. You've probably helped out your auntie with her thing, her local charity or whatever it is she's doing, her coffee morning or something. Collect that all. Collect all of it. Every single thing that you do. Push yourself out there. One of the things we talk about is, in another aspect of what we do, is we help people how to present themselves, how to tell stories. Business storytelling is really, really important. So if you can convert that little thing that you did from bullet points into a story, it's far more attractive for us to look at and for us to understand. If you have just gone through university, you're going to be, or college, you're going to be quite light on hands-on experience. So what you can do is demonstrate that you could apply this. It's almost like reverse experience. You could apply this methodology, and the understanding of the industry have given the chance, and create a little, here's the kind of experience I would like to have, and create a little section, make it very clear, I'm making this up, but this is the kind of thing that I would love to be involved in. So if there are gaps in your experience, you could perhaps create a vision of what you would like your experience to be and play some of that out to us, but make it clear that this is a vision. I think it's a very clever thing to do.
So you see yourself in the exact position you want to be applying for, and then just basically do a little research. What does this job require you to do?
Yeah.
And on top of that, build probably like a case study or something like that.
Totally. And make it clear, by the way, this is not real. And it's not from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
This is what I think from my learning, because I didn't manage to get an internship. I didn't manage to get a marketing job at Nights, but I've done a couple of things, and I've got this thing of this vision. I think that would be really good to help.
Amazing, thank you very much. Also, talking about like the green flags and sort of strong candidate signals, what comes into your mind when you hear this?
Green flags on a CV?
I would say of a person who is applying for a marketing position.
Be the person who stands out as that point of difference, because you have sunk a bit of time. When you come in for an interview, don't lead with the tools. Don't lead with the tools. I assume that you know all of those. That's great. It'll be my last question. And I assume that you know how to use all the kind of tools that we have. And they will say yes, and that's fine. Lead with a point of difference. Tell a story about the industry.
Yeah.
My father used to work in this industry. And for example, my son was asked to give a talk at university. And it was a talk on a very, very complicated technical subject. But he started by saying everyone else that day was going to be talking about just the technical subject. And you had 10 minutes. My son started with a story about a really interesting story. Every single person in my family, on my father's side, my side, going back to the Industrial Revolution, started in electrical engineering. Every single one. So although I felt it, there was pressure on me to not break the chain, and all the interviewers started giggling and laughing. They all put down their notebooks and they leaned forward, because this boy was telling a story about all the way back through, my family comes from Ireland, to the first cable that came out of a power station. There was a Doyle standing, wiring up switches in power stations and houses and all over the place, and he didn't want to break the chain. However, he's really enjoyed the programme, and this is what he thinks this is giving him. That 2-minute story at the start of that separates you from people who are just going, right, question one, you ask me this, I'm going to answer that. What is that point of difference? That point of difference made that talk stand out, made that little presentation stand out. So when it comes to, this is about green flags on CVs.
Yeah.
Give us the point of difference. Give us the point of difference. Show us why you're slightly different. You've invested a little bit of time trying to understand our industry. There's lots of stuff available in the public domain and on the various GPTs that are out there. You can do some lightweight research on what it might look like to incorporate into your application for that.
Yeah.
And that's going to differentiate you than someone who just, sorry to say it again, leads with, I can operate the tools.
Yeah, that's for sure. I love this story about your son, because it reminded me about my last interview I had with a company. Like, it was, I think, branding agency in Nauru. I went there, and I remember I prepared like a little story when they asked me, tell me about yourself. I prepared a little story when I was in school, and I was working in the school newspaper, and I had to do a little marketing for them. So I went out, because I think the amount of readers we had at that moment was roughly about like 25 people reading the newspaper every single day out of like 1,000 in the school. Right. So we had an issue, right? And instead of like guessing and trying to figure out, well, maybe this is gonna work, maybe that's gonna work, I went straight to the people who are actually reading the newspaper, asked them what they liked about it. Then I went to the people who doesn't read our newspapers, school students and then teachers as well. And then on top of that, I also built like a little campaign. I started to like hang out all these newspapers to the students, like to see like, okay guys, well, here's the headline of today's newspaper. It actually resonates with your pain point that you're experiencing and all that stuff. And that story, actually, I remember they literally were sitting like that, more corporative way. And then they just sit down and start to listen, okay, interesting. And then they asked me questions about the story, like to clarify a bit more about that.
So you realized, even at that age, that understanding your market is important.
Yeah.
Understanding, instead of just trying to push the same stuff that's not working. Understanding and adjusting, and there's a difference happens, there's an outcome. Brilliant.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Alright guys, as always, here are the 3 things from Eric that you need to lock in. Tools are not your advantage. Well, they are just expected. If your whole CV leads with I can operate Canva, I can operate Google Ads and any other platforms that you've touched, you're just not standing out. You're just joining the same pile as everyone else. Number 2, proof. beats noise. Strong candidates show a problem, what they did, what happened, and where possible, the business outcome. Not just tasks, not just reach, not just a follower counts. Something that actually means something to a hiring manager. Number 3, take one project and rewrite it properly. Problem, action, result, and business outcome. Just so you know, one bullet is enough to start, but make it real. Alright guys, and here is what I want you to do before the next week is out. Pick one project you already done, even if it was for uni, a small business, a friend, your auntie, your granny, or a charity. Rewrite one CV bullet using that structure. Problem, what you did, what changed, and why it mattered. That's your first proof move. By the way guys, if you need help or it's not quite clear what you actually have to do, I attached a link to the template which you can use for free. And as always guys, one last thing. If you had only 48 hours to move closer to landing your first marketing job, what would you actually do? Drop it all in the comments, I read them all, and I'll catch you in the next one.